Welcome to Monday Night Live Chat, and we are at episode 20. And tonight we are talking about the topic: is your competition better at business than you?
By the way, I'm ready for the intro here, but you always get caught like you're caught off guard, like you're not watching the countdown for 2 minutes, and then it happens.
That's because I always have to change the title as the countdown is going on, and sometimes I have to look up the spelling on things just to make sure that I'm right.
Which was a difficult word this time?
Huh?
Competition?
It was competition, just to make sure I had all the I's and the T's and the E's.
Yeah.
Jeremy Pommel really likes the question, and he is saying no about 5 times here. So, yep, good to go.
Nice. Where's he saying that? Is he in the chat already, and I'm just not seeing it yet?
He is in the chat, so get in the chat.
Oh, yeah, I don't have the right screen open.
Come on.
It's like my first time.
It's your first time. Well, it is. I feel like this week is always super, super crazy as far as people trying to pack in work before the holiday. I know I got many calls today that I turned away. But how is everybody doing as far as this week? Are you jamming in work? Are you done with work? Is it freezing where you are? Is it warm where you are? What's going on?
Yeah, let's find out the temperatures because it's freaking cold. Like this year, the coldness has sunk in so fast. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's here we usually have it be we can usually work through like Thanksgiving and have like almost 60s like all the time. And I mean, last week there was 20s around here and it's in the 40s. Jeremy Pommel is still saying no, that his business is better than all others.
What I want to know is I think it'll be amazing if somebody like Jeremy's competition jumps in and they're also there.
What part of Texas are you in, Jeremy? I know you're close to Richardson, Texas, I believe. But yeah. So how cold is it in North Carolina?
It is freezing at 43. By the way, living in Wisconsin originally, I thought freezing meant 32 and below. Apparently, when you're in the South, it can mean even warmer than that because we get like snow days. Like they're like, oh, hey, careful for the black ice out there. And it's like 52 degrees.
Yeah. Only 2 things come from Texas.
Uh-oh. Fighting words already.
Oh, no. Here we go.
What's up with Jay, by the way?
Huh?
How's it going? Chay's here. Levi's here. Jason M's here. Jeremy, of course, is here. Wardell Farnell, the greatest name ever. Lee Wallace is here. Man, there's a ton of people. If you're here, tell us how warm or cold it is.
Yes. And if you have any questions about how to be better than your competition, we have all the answers for you. So no worries. You've come to the right place.
I have a question for you, Steve. Are you the best one in your area?
No.
Ooh, okay.
I wouldn't say so because I'm not really I wouldn't really call my business a true window cleaning business anymore, just due to that. As you know, I mainly do sales now, and that's my main gig. My main gig is talking to other business owners all the time about, what did you say?
Nothing.
What you say?
I said OnlyFans. You're like, yeah.
Yeah, OnlyFans. It's great. It brings in a lot of money. I love it. You know, I put pics of squeegees on there and stuff. It's wild. But what was I saying? I don't know. I lost my
You're not really a window cleaner company anymore, so like they got you. They're kind of.
Yes, and I'll be quite honest with you. Probably one of the bad things that I've had to do the past about like 3 months is I've had to turn down a ton of work. I just released a ton of work that I was doing for like 8 years and let it go because I need more time for other stuff. So anymore, I'm strictly I only have 2 days of root work, and then I'm gonna be doing that, and then the rest can be residential. And then next year, I'm pretty much going to put a lot more time into being available for sales Monday through Friday.
Nice.
Yeah.
It really sucks though when you say no to work. Like I hated that. Like especially when they're like, dude, I'm sorry to pull this. I need it done in the next week. Like if I can't like make stuff happen, I gotta say no. Like I feel gross.
Yeah.
For, like all the effort I've done to like get me to this point, now I gotta tell this guy no, you know?
Right. I would say this though. This is like the first year where I'd kind of cut off work kind of a lot earlier than I used to. I would do homes all the way through the winter, and this is the first year where I decided not doing any homes through the winter. And it's a good feeling. It's kind of nice.
I have a question for Jeremy, since he is very, very adamant, which, by the way, I love. He knows he's the best. It's going to be very easy for him to sell his services. But why, Jeremy, in one comment, you can keep commenting a whole bunch of stuff, but I want to see in one line, why are you the best in your area? That's what I want to know. And I also want to know that from T Squeegees, who is here, because I love how T Squeegee can like express things.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What made you the best in your town? And I'm going to say that the one word you're going to use is experience.
No, I was the cheapest, so that made me the best. No, I knew I was the best because I knew that nobody cared like I cared. Nobody had the guarantees that I had, and nobody had the communication that I did. Like, it was a kind of a job for everybody, where what we did was on another level. Our staff was amazing, but our guarantees were amazing. There's never a time that we left when somebody wasn't happy if I could have helped it. And on all of that, just on that one side, that I knew deep down in my heart that I was the best choice for that, because I could go against any other person and I knew that I was the better choice.
Right.
That was when I had the business, not when the guy has got it now. I don't know.
Right. And I feel like, too, there can be many different bests in an area. Best large company, best small company.
Well, here's like the crap thing is, if you don't know that you're the best, like there's some people who are not you now, because I know your situation, but like there's other people who are like, no, I mean, I'm good, but no. If you're not the best, that's your fault. Like, you can make yourself the best. If you're not the best, it would be easier for you to say why you're not the best than why you are the best. Okay, if you're not the best, why aren't you? Well, these guys, okay, now you do that. Okay, well, tell me everything that you think is not the best. And then when you get to the point that you know that you're at absolute best, you can sell the crap out of your service, because now you're convinced. It's like the stuff we sell. I know the stuff that I'm referring or telling people that they should buy or that I think would be best for them. I truly, genuinely, in my heart, think that it's the best thing for them. And it's really easy to explain that to somebody. If you're iffy and somebody goes, hey, you think I should buy a wagtail? First off, I'm not going to say yes, but I hate wagtail. I can't go and tell somebody that wagtail is the thing to buy. Or like I hope Chris isn't here, but I don't really like the Atom. That system to me just doesn't fill a position in my brain. So it's very hard for me to be like, dude, you got to get this one.
Right.
So once you know that, it's really easy to sell stuff. It's like, if you're on fire and I sell fire extinguishers, there's no other choice. I know that what I have is the best thing for you at this exact time. Like, I could sell 1 billion of them because I'm so confident in my product.
Right. I hear you. It's kind of like, how like every coffee shop has the best coffee, or
every burger joint.
Yeah. But I think it's fine. Like, I think too, with window cleaning, it's a lot of what people do in their work. And that's how they, look at their companies. We do the best at window cleaning. And I think sometimes that's just the whole package, like all together, as far as making like a very, very good window cleaning company. But when we talk about the word business, it's really talking about, I think, growth and stuff like that, because like we always talk about with many people, you can always make window cleaning what you want it. And that's the greatest thing about it, is that young or old, you can always have it as a job. So, yeah.
Yeah. T just said, I'm not the best business. I'm the best window cleaner.
Yep. Simple enough.
He's the guy. And every time that I'm watching, which by the way, it switched. I have a date night because I live in a house of girls, and it's Thursdays. I used to be able to watch a show, and now his podcast is on Thursdays. I don't get to see it, but we'd always talk, because he is very adamant in the fact that if you clean a better window, you'll get more work. And I'm on the opposite side of, like, if you create a better experience, you'll get more work.
Yeah. Yep. I would definitely say I'm more on that side of the experience, to be quite honest with you, just because I saw it with a very long veteran in the business that wasn't the greatest window cleaner, and he never tell you he's the greatest window cleaner, but he was so good on the customer experience. That customer they wanted everything to look good, but that customer was so excited to see him every time they came, and was the conversation that they wanted him back for. And then it was just the cherry on top to get the windows cleaned. But man, that in its own, over 21 years of having that business, made him in his area the top person. Not that he needed to have a huge business, but it was sincerely, I mean, just 100% about the experience of him coming. And even when I would go, I would think I'm a very good window cleaner, and they would still ask for him, even though like he knew that I was like, I don't want to say a better window cleaner. I knew more as far as like cleaning windows and the techniques and stuff like that. Right. But then again, they'd still be like, yeah, we just want him to come. And it was like, yeah, it is what it is. And that's when I really started to notice, and I've talked about this before on my channel, that I noticed that I started having to make it more about the customer and the experience rather than being all about, oh, look how fast I can squeegee, because nobody cares. Like nobody cares how fast someone could put in your order at McDonald's compared to the next person. Like no one cares about it. They want the experience of what that tastes like, and that's all they care about. They don't care about the machine that it was made with or anything.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. What's interesting, I stumbled across this in an accident when I was talking with somebody, but advertising gets you a customer, but experience gets you the repeat customer. You know, that's the same thing where you could be a great window cleaning, but the experience is what gets him to come back to you. Right. You know, otherwise they just try somebody else. But
I always look at, and this is kind of a weird example, but I always look at Disney as like a very good thing to look at as far as experience. You know, like they have experiences everywhere in the world of travel and enjoyment and everything like that, but it's always an experience. You want to come back. Like how many theme parks have you might gone to where you're like, I don't care. You know, like a theme park, Elitch's in Denver smells like piss, like just looks like crap. The rides are crap. You don't ever want to go back. You know, it's not a good experience. Where you go to Disney, it's always a good experience. You know, except you're gonna, you know, spend your whole retirement.
Right. By the way, Wardell is the same age as TJ. He says, I'm 69, been cleaning since 1997, just learning from anyone knowing the craft. Taught me a lot. So that's super awesome. So yeah, pretty good. Just Jacob just showed up, by the way, too. What's up, Just Jacob? And Jeremy Pummel, I got you, man. As soon as the podcast is up, I will get you that yellow trad.
Just that orange trad. All right. Name brand had a weird one the other day. Cleaned a house for years. Dude sold the house. Thought I lost it. Random guy called for a quote. It was the same house. Small world. Maybe he just gave him your number.
You know what's pretty awesome one time? And I actually started doing this with realtors. This is why, but I went to this lady's house and it called the house address. We showed up and I'm like, we do this house all the time. Like, why was this a whole new thing? And I showed up and I met the lady and it was a new lady. And I'm like, this is crazy. We just cleaned these windows like 3 months ago. She's like, yeah, it was before we bought the house. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, how did you find us? She's like, in the folder, the lady who had sold her the house had all the information, and one of the things was our information. She's like, these are the guys, use these guys. Yeah. So like our pamphlet was like passed along. It wasn't even a question. It was great.
You ever read that book? And we have it on windowcleaner.com, and I forget the gentleman's name who wrote it a long time ago. And he walks through, you know, the steps of creating a business, through all the techniques. And I forget if his name was Jim. I think it is. But anyways, he has a really, really good book, and he talks about every time you do a construction clean, you should put your business card into the kitchen. What are those called? Drawers. Put one in the kitchen drawer and leave it there, because the possibility of them seeing that really high, and you get customers out of it, you know? Yeah. So, yeah.
That's great.
Was it Jim Dubois? I don't think it was Jim Dubois.
No, it was an older gentleman. I want to say Willingham, but I don't think he had it was a different one. I know what you're talking about, which book. I don't have that one. That's one of the actual window cleaning books I do not have.
It's a really good one, and I think he may have been like around 60 to 70 when he wrote it. But Chris shared it with me one day, and it's a really, really good book. And it's simple, and it's basic, and it just goes through every single thing you could possibly imagine as far as that stuff goes.
Did you ever read The Naked Window Cleaner? No. Remember Kevin Dabrowski? Does that name sound familiar?
No.
He was like a window cleaner who ended up burning out in the industry, really. But his idea was just he wanted to be the most expensive window cleaner in the world. So he closed all of his stuff and started this new company. And it was the most expensive window cleaning you could get, and it didn't last too terribly long. But it was all about experience. It was
how far you can go with it. Like, how far could you really go with window cleaning to be the most expensive window cleaner? Like,
so here's the thing. with your experience, right, with your dollar amount, there's a certain point where it plateaus off, right? Like McLaren, Bugattis. Bugatti is such an expensive car that where Bugatti's way up here, it tapers off. There's not many people who are going to buy a Bugatti. There are people, but there's not a lot of people. So when you get that car, you're selling that car because it's that car, and you're selling a couple of them, you're only going to make so much money. Like Bugatti will never make as much as like Ford. They won't. They just can't. They don't have the market. That's the same concept. But when you're selling your time, sure, you could clean one house a week and never clean the rest of the week and make the same amount of money. But you have to find those people in your area that would have that. Now you need to have 52 customers that are going to pay you a week's worth of salary basically to clean one house. There's just not a lot of people in that market. So again, when somebody says you just keep asking and asking and asking, eventually you won't have customers. That is true, but there's a saturation point, you know?
Yeah. I just don't know how expensive you could go with it to really create something that's like, premier. Because I feel like in the industry, you see a lot of with like the top tier customers. You'll see some top tier customers want the quality, but then you see some top tier be extremely cheap and just want someone to come in and work for. And I saw all those different areas when I used to do bids like constantly. And it just seems like, exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's
what
crazy.
Are people talking about here? Oh, window clings. I know this was window clings something you came up with, right?
As far as I know, probably somebody else has come up with it, but we've been doing that for the past probably 15 years. We started doing that. So I've been talking about it for that long. So.
Oh, so you did this at your business?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
So you
they were the oil, the oil. You can get them for auto mechanic shops is what we started with. And then we started finding places who could make our own, which were more custom, where it wasn't just our logo.
Right.
And it's great. Right. People were like, I can't believe you, like back in the day, they're like, I can't believe you do that. You're just like leaving garbage. And every single person you ever did it for was absolutely happy that you did. Because you're like, I wouldn't remember otherwise.
Yeah. Now where
it's great too.
Yeah.
Sorry. The first ones that we had, if you hit it with the scrubber, it would wash the marker off. So you would do the whole window and then you would just rewrite it on there. It was great.
What was when you would tell somebody, okay, what window to put it on? Was there certain windows that you would want to put it on, like a kitchen window or something like that?
Kitchen window right above the sink. If there was no window right above the sink, we would put it by the entrance door.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: if somebody's really like that, they're really that angry about this little sticker, which is see-through for the most part. If they're really that angry, they peel it off and cool, I'll put another one on the next time. They're like, 6 cents. I don't care. But for everybody else, it was great because we would ask, especially recurring customers. This is before I was more focused on kind of the dentist clothes and stuff. Is you put all this work into getting the customer, and then everybody goes, cool, I got a customer. Let's go find more customers. And they think that that's growth instead of like, okay, what if you could change your retention instead of like 70% retention, or it's probably like 20% retention every 6 months for most companies. Maybe in a year, there's like 70% retention. A lot of people go 2 years. A lot of people go every 12 months. A lot of people forget about it and then call you in 2 years. Like, what if you could somehow raise that to 90%? And that means every year from here on out, you do 90% of the people you did this year. Like, that's accelerated growth. So then, and my brain was like, well, how do I do that? So people love that because I would always say, they would talk to me. They would say, hey, I was just doing my dishes and I haven't had my windows done since. And they would tell me the date that was written on their window.
Right.
Other than that, no one's remembered when they got their windows done.
Right. Now, if you use window cleanings, I saw Jasmine's Pools talking about this. Someone else talking about this, Jason M, I think, in the comments. Put down what kind of your experience has been, because I know they got really, really popular with Micah's window cleaning. He did like a post about him, and all of a sudden I saw everybody, and because we're on chat too, we see people come in and talk about it. So I know that it's been getting really, really popular, which is crazy to think you did it 15 years ago. And then, now it's popping off, but what happens? So,
it is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
Anything that people can do to kind of, even if every single window cleaning company did that, I think it would still be awesome, because the other side of it is I have my logo. So because everybody thinks that somehow they remember, no, all my customers remember. They don't. They think about you when they need you. Yeah. But if they got a little sticker with that little logo and your phone number, then even when they forget about it, they're like, oh yeah, I got the stick. And they'll go find you and they'll call you. And now they're not searching for anybody else because they got my advertisement plastered on their window that is extremely subtle, but yet they can still see.
Yeah. Do you know where my business is actually extremely popular? In the UK. Really? I get tons of Facebook messages from the UK for window cleaning routes. And you want to know why? Is because someone wasn't very smart and decided to open up SteveO's window cleaning in the UK, and I get all of his contacts.
Nice.
Because, I mean, it's dumb because if you were to Google everything, all of my stuff comes up for that, not this guy's business in the UK. So I get tons of requests, and it's all over Facebook. Nothing else.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you think it was an accident that he named it SteveO's window cleaning, or do you think he saw your videos and was like, I'm in another country?
I think it was on purpose, to be quite honest. It's happened quite a bit that I have had to reach out to certain businesses. There's businesses that I've approved to use photos that I've had, or businesses that I've approved to like have videos on, and I'm not a stickler about it. But when I see someone like local hand out flyers with my hand on it and my squeegee, like that that happened about a year ago in a group that I was just a part of that was like a community group in a town. And all of a sudden I saw a flyer posted that said, hey, this guy's cleaning in our area. Check him out. He's great. And it's my hand. It's like the picture that we use for 2020 window cleaning on our website. And that's what he had as the photo. So I just texted him. I said, hey man, Mike, how easy is it just to take a photo of you cleaning a window and have that be you? Like, why use me as your business? So like, if somebody asks me, I'm totally fine about it. But sometimes it's just like, I don't get that part of it of why. It's happened to Luke quite a bit too, you know, as far as using that image and using like even his whole website format. So it's a weird area in that it's kind of like, it's not really stealing, it's them being a creative, but then it's just funny that this guy in UK came in because they're all like, you're local, like why can't you? I'm like, no, I'm in the USA, like I can't clean your windows. And everyone's like, oh man, you came up. It's weird.
This happened a billion years ago, and I didn't know the guy, but I knew the guy, but I didn't know him personally, like knew of him, you know. And one of the pictures on his residential, you know how you got all the different pages on your website, one of the residential was my crew leader cleaning a window with a water fed, and it had my logo on his shirt, and it was on this other guy's website. You couldn't like clearly see it. I knew what it was, and you could see it, but like you couldn't read the number perfectly if you didn't already know what my number was. Right. And it was so great. Like it was brought up to me from somebody, and I was like, I almost want to bring it up, but it's funny that my logo is on some other dude's website. But it was because he had one of those, you know, when you call those people and they're like, we'll build you a site for $2.99. They just like rip pictures from everything else, and that was one of the pictures they ripped. So I talked to the dude, and he like dropped them right away. But I thought it was just hilarious.
Yeah, it happens a lot. But if you Google images, I mean, there's a lot out there. You know,
back in the day before you had phones, understand how hard it was to take a picture and get it on a site. You had to bring a camera in the field. Like that's why we carried pouches, so we could have cameras in the field. Like it wasn't super easy like it is now. If you don't have good pictures on your site, that's 100% your fault. You carry a camera in your pocket at all times.
Well, I always, you know, we talk to so many people about starting new businesses, and they're always like, hey, what should I post on social media? And I always say before and after photos. Well, how am I going to get those? I have no customers. Friends and family. Go clean friends and family and take as many pictures on the outside as you can of your before and after shots, or you squeegee in a window. Just start posting them. And it's like that. It's that easy.
Every job, it should be required of anybody, even if you got staff. Every job, you get at least one picture. Because what do? 5 houses in a day? That means you have 5 new B-roll footage pictures every single day. You can't post that much media, you know, like even if they're not good, they're still real pictures. Like you got to take the pictures. But anyway,
Jay, before and after pics, or pics of you working? Before and after pics of the glass and pics of you working. I think they're both great. Or just, you know, like, hey, we did this awesome job today. People love those for some reason.
You can do before and after pictures or pics of you working, but do not do before and after pictures of you working, because like one you'll be all nice and shiny, and the next one you'll be all dirty and stinky. It wouldn't work out. Jay
likes to work shirtless, so yeah. I once cut my sleeves for like 2 days when I worked with 2020 window clean, and Jim did not like that look. He did not like that look. He said, "You can't do that." And I said, You're right. That's not a good look. Like I probably shouldn't do that, but who cares?
When your titties hanging out the side when you're reaching.
Got a little hair on it.
Yeah.
Real quickly, I wanted to Matthew Owen ask a question. Why is my brand new liquidator not squeegeeing properly? If it is brand new, think about this. You can have a break-in period with squeegee rubbers, and that can happen with Mormon. If you do not like the Mormon liquidator channel, use it for at least a few days and really make sure that you don't like it. Even though a lot of people are saying it's trash, it is a love-hate relationship with a lot of people. I personally hate it, but I know a lot of people that love it. If you really decide that you do not like that channel, toss it in the trash and try like an Ettore brass, or even an Unger S channel is a simple channel that still fits in the teeth of the handle and can be a really, really good fix with that. And then for the rubber, like you're asking, I would probably go with either I've heard the Mormon hard squeegee rubber is actually great and that they've improved that. So I would try that probably before anything else, just because it's already made for the liquidator channel.
Yeah. Liquidator is a completely different tool. I don't know how many calls we get, multiple calls a month of people who are like, I got this liquidator channel or liquidator or accelerator and it's just not working. And it's like, well, it's a completely new tool. Yeah. I've been cleaning windows for 30 years. It just doesn't work. Right. Because you've never used the like you literally are just using this accelerator for the first time. And it's hard for people to understand it's a completely new tool, but for it to be used right, you have to fan on a pole for it to make any type of sense. Like every now and then we get homeowners who are like, that's the one I want, because they see the ads of it and it's like, that's not the one. That's a specialty squeegee.
You want Ettore backflip.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I'm going to mess up your name. I don't know why I can't pronounce his name. Wardell? Fennel. Question. Water fed pole extending 50 feet or more. Using a flag pole holder strap is much easier to hold.
Now remember, Wardell did say he was a window cleaner for a long time. And I think he said he was 65.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense.
So if you're needing a little bit of assistance just to hold the thing, because there are a little bit, they did have one of those for a while. There was this, it's a camera mount that they had that has, it would hold some of the weight off. With a flag holder, the problem is that's stationary. And unless you're squatting with your legs the whole time, which your leg muscles are a lot bigger than the rest of your muscles, so that means you're going to be burning a lot more and just tiring yourself out. I just realized what I did there. Then yeah, the flag holder is not as great of an idea, but anything that can help you a little bit does tend to. If you're doing this with your arms the whole time and you're raising your shoulders, that's the part that hurts. If you're using more of your body to kind of go with it, then
rock your feet, better. Rock your feet and just go with it and let the pole do the work. That's what I do.
Take little sections. Don't do the whole window at one time. Do just the top, and then do like the little bottom. And
yeah, exactly. Let's see what else here. Che Stockwell. Have a few multiple story commercial buildings near me. Any tips for cold calling on those buildings? One thing that I always did was I always went into the buildings and looked for, usually when it has the list of everybody that's in the building, they'll usually also have the management company right there. And then you can call that management company. In my experience, these were always the hardest customers to kind of get like a final grasp on. And you just had to follow up and follow up and follow up. Because most likely, most of those property management companies either have one window cleaning company they're using or multiples based on the schedules from what I have seen in my experience. So usually that number can help you a lot. What would you say?
Yeah, 100%. That's the nice thing. If it's hard for you to get, it means it's hard for other window cleaners to get. So I still think the best customers are property managers, because when you make one property manager happy, not only do they throw you like 3 to 10 different comma jobs, but they just are loyal. They're just like cool, like this is it, and then they throw you everything. So we started getting into property managers, and I told you the story before about my property manager who was like the first person I ever bid ever. He's like, dude, you got to double it. I'm like, oh man, you mean cut it in half? He's like, no, double it. Your prices are garbage. Like, this is way too low. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, if you double it, you can have it. I'm like, okay, which still meant my prices were too low. But my first one, I bid it completely wrong. That dude, because he like took me under his wing and I just kept him happy. I mean, I got like pressure washing jobs and bank drive-throughs and snow removal and parking lot sweeping and like everything that he'd be like, dude, can you guys do this? I'd ask the guys like parking lot sweeping. We did that with some of our janitorial, but then we just bought like a push behind thing. And then one dude like once a month would walk parking lots because he just like chilled and he like listened to music. And I was like, okay, cool. Like they just throw you all this work because they don't want the headache. It's like as much headaches as you take care of, it's whatever. Everybody else, when you're talking about residential, you're talking especially route, they're looking at price, they're looking at this, they're looking at that. They're always looking. People are always going in there. Property managers are so hard to actually get a hold of that when they find you, they love you, and they work with a bunch of other property managers. So as soon as one likes you, all of a sudden you can tell when there's a meeting. All of a sudden, like Friday afternoon, I'll get like 4 calls from them, and it's like, oh, well, I guess they had their morning, Friday monthly meeting or whatever. It's great.
I always find too with we get a lot of questions about the commercial buildings and how to clean windows, and a lot of people always worry about, oh man, like there's a lot of hard water on this building, like what am I going to do about it? I don't know what to tell the customer. So first of all, like hard water shouldn't be included in your regular price, but should be explained in a higher price tier. But most of the time, most of these buildings, from my experience, are not even looking for that to be really cleaned off, but are just looking for everything to look good. Of course, there's like extreme situations, but a lot of people worry about, the detailedness to commercial, which not to say that it's not a detailed thing, but it's not as the same level as residential. Yeah. So that's something to think about with commercial. Really easy to clean, really easy to schedule. Payment usually takes a little longer than most, but I mean, it is such good return work, and the possibilities of really getting any callbacks is super, super rare with commercial unless you really effed up.
Yeah, and this will be the thing that gets people angry at me, but if you do good enough that it doesn't trigger somebody to see that you did a crappy job, you did good enough. So like, especially in commercial, as long as from the inside they didn't see that it was bad, then you did great, and even if we've had other jobs where it was on the busy side of the road that it was just windier than heck through the buildings, and the dude was like, hey, it looks like crap, man, come back when you can. I'm like, okay, cool. Like that was our fault because the wind was it was one of those where you're doing second floor windows and the wind is blowing so hard it's blowing the dirty water back to the third floor, like you couldn't track it, but
right.
For the most part, they're just happy to have less headaches because they're paying for the plumber and the people who make the keys and the people who they rent the rugs from and changing light bulbs and getting paper products for their bath. Like they got so many things. They're just happy to get rid of some of it.
Yeah. This is what I like to know from anybody in the comments who is an actual owner who has employees. Would you do quality checks on every your employees as far as storefronts? I used to have to do this even in the small time I was a manager at Fish. I would find things all the time where I'd be like, how did the customer not call? Like I would find this a lot where a guy would squeegee and the top window, hit the bottom window and just forget that window and never clean it. And then there's just run, a big bar of water and the runs coming out. I would catch that all the time. And never once did anybody call about it. And that's what I thought was crazy.
I would never leave any. I like when I say that, people go, "Oh, you did crap work." Like that wasn't my point. The point was that they're not seeing it like we are. So we would do audits on our guys, and we would do random audits, and it usually ended up being once a month, where it was guys would do a job. I would then, that afternoon drive by a couple jobs and just double check, and if there was anything, or I had some really, really good customers that we did for so long that I was on like a personal level almost. I'd be like, hey, Tom's coming through, just watch his stuff today. If you see anything, let me know. We're just doing an audit, whatever. And it just keep an eye on them, and people did well. I mean, every now and then with houses, they did something what they call blanched, which I don't remember. I think it was a customer of ours name was Blanche. And every time they get to a window, they'd be doing it. She'd be like, don't worry about that one. Just forget about that one. They get to the next one. They do half of it, and then there's one in the closet, but don't worry about that. She just kept doing that. So they call it blanching a window, but like a dormer window that's up there. And if it's like halfway clean or like, some transoms they would wipe down instead on some commercial properties behind neons and things like that. But do good work. Just don't kill yourself on focusing on doing great work,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You can go too far with it. I think it happens to a lot of us. And it's something that's hard to know, especially when you've started the business all on your own and you're really going for it. And I see that a lot of times with the people who begin and don't work underneath maybe a veteran for a little bit. And a lot of the times, the many things that I see as far as what they put their work in are things that I usually would say to myself, ooh, I wonder how much they're charging for that. And I hope they're getting the money that they should for making that track absolutely brand new.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I always think about. Are you putting that price to make sure that, you're really, really, especially tracks. So you go to something. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would love to hear
so long. I mean, they can take longer than the glass, and you're sitting there and the whole track looks like the middle of the desert, and it's cracked up and dry or just wet, and there's growth going on in it. And that's the things that really can get you quickly into trouble. Then you feel rushed. Then you don't do as good of a job on other things because you haven't explained to the customer.
Well, by the way, when you're watching, I'm going to go on another tirade, but if you have what's like the biggest pain point you have in your company? Like, what's like the biggest thing that you struggle with? Put it in the comments. But here's something to think about. If a typical window takes you 30 seconds to a minute, right? We'll say a minute just for even numbers. Like a job you've done before, you're not construction cleaning. We'll say a minute on a window, right? Pain. If you do extra on that one and it's taking you a long time, and all it takes is an extra minute for you to double your time on that job. For another minute on a window, you've just cut your hourly in half. You've cut your production in half. And we're talking about 1 minute. If you can do a window or a pane in 30 seconds, now you're just talking about 30 seconds being the difference between doubling your pay or cutting it in half. It's crazy when you think about that. That's where efficiency comes in. But you still got to get to efficient. Don't splash and dash and think you're a SteveO the window cleaner when you're not,
Yes. What was the original question that you asked?
It was, what's like the biggest thing people struggle with in their window cleaning company, just in business in general? I love to hear people's struggles, because sometimes you hear people like, I lose sleep at night because of XYZ. And you're like, oh, that's easy. It's this. And people are like, oh my gosh, like, because we're doing this, we got blinders. Like, it's the greatest thing is just to have somebody's pain point and find out what drives them nuts.
Yeah, I hear you. Ben the window cleaner asks, what's better, a work belt or carrying everything in your bucket? Personally, I would tell you a work belt. Some kind of work belt to carry some stuff. Gosh, I had to do a job about like 2 months ago, so I forgot my work belt. I felt lost. And so I would suggest always having a work belt, but I know many, many people like to work without it, and that's just how they do. I worked with a guy recently who that's the way he works, and it just works for him, and I don't see any issue in that. But I just think having everything on you can be really, really nice and just make it easier for you and more efficient to get through the job quicker.
I don't Batman belt it, but I have a pouch, Mormon side kit, and my bucket on a belt the other side, which would be a dry walker if you can't get your hands on like a silencer, grackle, or something. That's it. That's my whole thing. I can carry everything I need, and I don't have to go crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't have like back problems either by carrying too much junk.
Jeremy Pummel charges $17 for tracks. One track.
I think he's talking about the window, because he said $14 for glass only and $17 for tracks. So like maybe it's glass. If he's getting that for just tracks, man,
that's great.
Woo, I'm moving to Dallas.
Yeah.
Where he said he was. I forget.
Employees are the biggest headache. Now, Jeremy, if you don't mind, maybe explain something. I did see something on Pro the other day that was mildly or very sad, that maybe there was a ladder fall at a job or something. I only say it because it was posted publicly, but I hope everything's okay there, because it's never fun. Never fun.
Have you had somebody, and I know we've talked about this before, but have you had an incident happen with any of the crews that you were either on or that worked with you?
Never have I had anybody get injured, ever, that I have been on the job. That was due to that I always did everything that was difficult or hard. And I also, though, I am like, if you were to work with me on a job, like if I see you doing something like stupid, like I will let you know right away. And I have no like regard for either throwing you off the work site like super fast. I'm very, very serious, like on the work site of making sure that everything is good. There was somebody when I used to co-own 2020 that fell off a 3-foot step ladder. outside and did get a concussion. And it was just due to, I think, just poor knowledge of how to use just a simple step ladder. But literally, I mean, out of all the things ever, that was the worst thing.
I've had stuff where it happened, you know, and everything, oh, and then you stare, and then like everybody kind of looks around, and then you're like, that could have been so much worse. Like I had a guy one time, literally told him, do not put the ladder on the roof, walked around to the back, told one of the other guys that I was leaving. As I'm walking off, the ladder from the top of like the second floor shoots off and hits the car. And he's laying on the roof because when the ladder slipped out, he fell straight down, hit the roof, and the ladder shot off, and he didn't, like, he would have shot himself off the second floor, like onto the hood of a car, which is what the ladder did, which cost me like $3,200. But
you know what gets me lately is these metal roofs that they are making that are just the hardest things to walk on, where you have to water fed. And it's almost like water fed's almost becoming a necessity for like any window cleaning business, just due to how hard windows are to access unless you can do rope work. But I would love to hear in the comments if anybody has any shoes that they would suggest for those kind of roofs, because I have a lot of those here and they suck.
Dude, they're Puma claws. Yeah, dude, those things for roofs are amazing. I've used them one time and it was the most mind-blowingly thing. It's just you're walking a roof, it doesn't matter.
Wow.
But still, I'd rather have a water fed. Those shoes are like $300 a pair. But
man,
you water fed something, guys. Tell people, if you're on a third floor window and you fall, you just like dust your knee off, you stand back up. Like, you're water fed, you're right there. Like, I take that 100%.
I've had a lot of times where I call it like surfing the ladder, like where just, you know, and it's happened a lot on stacks, where it will just start to slide and you just kind of just stay with it. If it happens fast, it happens fast. Luckily every time it's happened like slow and it's just rocks going back. But yeah, I
had one time it was my stupid fault, but the rug that I was on, in my defense, was giant. It was giant. I'm like, this thing's there's like there's couches, there's whatever. And I'm cleaning, and all of a sudden, as I like reach up to the top of the window, I do one swipe, come back down, and I reach back up, and I'm like not there. And I'm like, this is weird. Like I couldn't get to the top. And so I look down, I'm wiping my thing, and I notice that the sill that I'm right on is doing this to my ladder. I'm like, oh, and I look down, and sure enough, the rug that I'm on is folding, and I'm sliding back. But I didn't even know it until I was like dropping down from the top of the window, and I'm like, what the heck?
Why can't I reach this? God, that's scary. It's always a scary moment when you start feeling it go, or if like you're up really high on a 30 or 28 and you just feel it like that inch go. And you're like,
yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
The worst part was I had to because I was inside with, this is before I had multiple crews that were out at the same time. This was my then operations officer, who was the only guy I was working with, and he was on the other side of the room, just happened to be going in, and I had to like yell to him like, "Yay!" And he had to run. So now everybody in the house knows something's going on, and he like stops it. But I didn't want to I'm like up extended, like I'm like, oh great. Well, if I'm like coy about it or don't say anything, then I'm gonna fall, and then everybody will really know,
Right.
So I felt like an idiot, but I didn't die. Yeah. But did you die?
Yeah. Now, does anybody have rules on the web, like on your work sites, where like we had a rule that we always had our headphones in, but super, super low, but we had our headphones in so that we could receive a phone call. As far as that goes, and we always had that going on just in case. I know you used to use walkie-talkies right?
We had walkie-talkies. We had UHFs on commercial buildings, but in houses we had walkie-talkies. They didn't like using them, but they were only allowed one earbud or AirPod or whatever at the time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because I've seen that happen where like somebody is, having a situation and they're screaming, yelling, and everyone's just sitting there jamming out, cleaning windows.
Dude, radios, like walkie-talkies, are so awesome to have. I don't know why it never caught on with them. Like they just hated it. One guy would just drop them in buckets and stuff. And I'm like, come on, you're doing that on purpose because you don't want to have them. But it was so great because somebody could be on the other side of the glass or whatever, and you could just call somebody and they, it was great. It was great.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, let's see here. What else is going on in the comments? Everybody hates metal roofs. That's for sure. That's good.
KD, the WC, said, I'd rather just open a window near the roof and walk over the sill and over to the window to get the outside instead of walking up the roof.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. No special shoes. I try to walk on the screw head. Some metal roofs have them, and they keep me from sliding. If it's smooth, it can be tricky. That's what I find here. They're all super, super smooth, super inclined. There's no possibility.
Kyle said E-Box CrossFit 8.0 shoes. That's the fanciest shoe name I ever heard.
CrossFit 8.0. I didn't even know CrossFit's still a thing. CrossFit's faded out.
Is it?
I think I don't know. I don't see much about it anymore.
That's true. The bet, and if somebody was in CrossFit, they'd have to tell you. I think it's a law. But the funniest thing ever was Tosh.0 did like a stand-up special, and he was talking about no one needs you to flip a tire. It's 2020. Like call AAA. Like that was CrossFit.
I had a really good friend who was a big pro in all of that, and I mean, dude, he destroyed his body, destroyed his knees,
everything.
It was bad.
It's like a joke until you realize that there's like hundreds of thousands of people that do it. When you watch people do pull-ups, and you're like, "What are you doing? You're doing like bicycle kicks. Like what?"
Yeah, it doesn't make any. That's like the way they do pull-ups in CrossFit is everything you learned as a kid not to do for pull-ups. Like don't use your whole body. Jeremy Hummel doing a 40-foot ladder in 2 weeks. Good luck. Hope you're safe. Oh man. Everyone is doing yoga now. Yeah, I've thought about it actually. Some peaceful yoga. Doesn't
I want to do meditation. I really want to get into meditation, like get my brain right.
Have you ever cleaned a hot yoga room?
No.
The sweatiest I have ever been in my whole life, and I had to clean all the mirrors in a hot yoga place one time, and it was hot and it was high humidity, and I sweated my ass off. It was horrible. So if anyone ever calls you to do that, just say no.
We did a gym, and it actually was my gym, so I was used to it, but the guys hated it. But in the wintertime, the windows would they're giant, like 10-foot I mean, they're huge. You had to use a pole on them inside. It was the entire walls the whole gym was glass, and it would be so wet on the inside, there would be drips. You couldn't see out of the windows. Like, and I mean, it's moisture from sweat and everything else, but they just think it's sweat on the window, and they're like squeegeeing sweat off. And I'm like, no, it's not that bad.
No. That's one thing I have to be like very happy about in Colorado is we do not have to deal with as much moisture. And I always think about that with some of the people I talk to. I'm like, oh man, that has to suck. Like,
I thought my favorite thing was when we were in New Jersey and you felt like humidity for the first time. You were like dying.
Yeah.
You were like, your shirt would like stick to you a little bit, and you're like, ah!
If you look at some of the videos that came out about the Xero products, I looked miserable because I was so hot. I was so sweaty.
It was like humid, but it wasn't like, oh, this is amazingly bad. It just was like kind of humid. But I remember like the first time your shirt like stuck to you, you're like, what is happening? Did I get into some
sweat underneath my boobs? I had sweat just everywhere. So if you look at those videos and I don't look like I'm having fun, it's because I was not.
That's good.
Yes. So we'll leave those videos. Hey, KD has a question for you, Josh. ICWCR is now stocking the 4-foot sectional middle sections. I haven't seen those in production for a long time. Any idea if they will bring back the 8-foot headpiece? Those are awesome.
The number one question we've gotten since people found out that the 4s are back. Oh, the 8's coming back. So I don't know. But from what I kind of gathered was that they didn't know that there was as much of a like need for a 4-foot. Because I don't know that Metallic ever had 4-foots. I thought the 4-foots might have been the Alicos. Yeah. So I think maybe they were like, what? They want 4-foots? We literally got our first batch, first people in the country to get these 4s. And we sold it in 2 days. We sold the entire like pallet of them in 2 days. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So we have another batch coming in, and we've actually now stopped pre-orders because I think we've sold the next batch out before the ones even came in, or something darn close. So unfortunately,
it was crazy when they first came in. It felt like a silencer as far as how everybody wanted them. So yeah.
Except,
I used to use it back in the day, and it was extremely helpful. Extremely helpful.
The one thing I don't, the 4 is really the reason that makes stacks as amazing as they are, is that 4-foot. But the thing I don't like about the 4-foot is the same dang price as like a 6-foot. Like, I mean, you're only really saving 2 feet of, and they're really, really limited runs. So right now the prices aren't super awesome. Not that any stacks are, but
right.
Anyway, speaking about prices, I don't want to be salesy, but like Black Friday's coming up in like a couple days. It's like anybody that's listening or watching, are they planning on buying something, or is Black Friday just like not a thing anymore since we like have sales?
Let's hear it. Che asks, are we going to have any limited edition silencer grackles for Christmas? I don't know. We never know. Never know about that.
I heard that for $20 a ticket, you can buy in to win the SteveO signed silencer.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's $20 a ticket.
$20 a ticket. That'll get you in. I just need to collect 5,000 tickets, and then that's when it will be sent off. So it takes years. It takes years. That's
by the way, every time we do a giveaway, people are like, I can't believe this. I've been in giveaways 2 times now. I've not won anything. Do you guys understand how giveaways work? You understand the thousands of orders that come in? Like, you have a 1 in thousands of chance to win, and you didn't win, and then people get all angry.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's not like,
1
in 20. Never heard of a giveaway before.
Yeah, it's not 1 in 20. It's not 1 in 100. It's a lot. It's crazy.
But people don't really realize what we do either. They're like, oh yeah, these guys, they don't, like, this is the greatest thing ever when people find out what I do for a living. They're like, oh, and like, you clean? Oh, no, I don't clean anymore. They're like, oh, it's you make enough to live. Oh, A, that's an asinine question. And B, I do all right. Like, I don't, but they don't get it, which is cool.
Let's end on this question. Well, first of all, it looks like Squeegee Life is the new Windows 101 sales representative, and Just Jacob is now working for Harry Falk. So anyways, what was this? Missed One asked, what do you do when you get burned out on window cleaning?
This happens in a 5-year rotation. Everybody says it's a 7-year burnout. It's 5 years. I swear. Every 5 years, you just hate everything we do. And that's why you see a lot of people just bail. The only thing is to create something to go for. Like, eventually, you're going to get your first dollar. You're going to get your first $100 check. You're going to get your first $1,000 check and probably your first $10,000 check, right? At a certain point, there's nothing else like in your brain that you go for. So there's nothing exciting. You're like, been there, done that. It's another customer. It's another awesome. It's another whatever. It just doesn't matter. So, like, there has to be something for you to aim for. Like, there has to be some kind of goal. And if you lose sight of your goals, or you achieve your goals and you don't keep recalculating, it's it, you know?
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes I get to a point where it's like, oh, I got to this point that I've been looking to get to. What's next? And exactly right. You got to make new goals, and that's what gets you really excited. But it's hard at times. I get burnt out at times. I've been burnt out on the window cleaning YouTube stuff for like a long time. That's why in the past couple of years I don't really post as much as I used to. That's more due to starting a family and everything. But there's just certain things that after a while it's hard to think about. Like, okay, what else can I do? But the only thing you can really do with the company is just create more goals, and that's what you got to do.
You just change the goals. It doesn't even have to be bigger, because people are like, yeah, I'm where I want to be. Okay, cool. Well, what if all of your customers paid you more? Or what if every one of your customers did outs only, so your job was easier? Like, there's goals. They don't have to be being bigger or making more money necessarily. Because money's cool, but that's just one of 1,000 goals you could be, you know?
Yeah.
It's true. Some people's goals hiring their first person, and that's the most epic thing. Well, at some point, maybe you'll have 10 people. That won't even be a thing. You won't even remember your excitement at that point.
Very, very true. Jeremy Powell wants 10 mystery boxes, please. And then real quickly, last question to answer from Four Seasons Window Clean. Steve, what rubber do you prefer when doing pole work? I particularly use Ettore Master Rubber or the Unger Green Rubber when doing pole work. All works great. That's it.
Yeah. Everybody really likes the Unger Green. A lot of people do. It's a weird. I'm not a silicone person. It's just a weird feel to me. I can't wrap my brain around it, but some people are like, "This is great."
It's
like sorbo silicone. Like, it's not that they're the exact same, but it's just you use one and then the other. You're like, "Oh, I can tell this isn't quite right." I could probably get used to it, but
The blend that they got on the Unger Green is good though, compared to what I feel like with other silicone rubbers. A lot of other silicone rubbers stick a lot. So there's something about that blend that really worked out nice.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. They hit it. They changed it. I think they haven't admitted it, but they did it and then they changed it and then they did it. And I think it's back. I feel.
Okay. Yeah.
But,
yep. I'm right there.
There is a great question from Che. By the way, Jeremy Pummel, I see your message. Shoot me a text and what you really want, and I'll do it, because otherwise I'm going to put an order in for 10 of those mystery boxes. Che said, can you pack your resin too tight? Steve, you're good at packing. Tell me, can you pack it too tight?
You can't pack it too tight. Too much is too much. So if it's really
the sides kind of blow out.
Yeah, if the sides really blow out, and going all that, and anyways, it's, if you can close the lid, you're gonna be pretty good as far as that goes. You're gonna know if you overpack that thing, but like, pack it good, make sure you get that donut in there, get that cap on, and you're good to go. Anyways. Jersey, do you have anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, just real quick on those packing things. It's better to not have extra room in there, but you don't have to pack it like super tight. If you ever question it after running it for like a job, open the cartridge back up and see how much it settles. It would amaze you.
Yeah, maybe you can get a little more in there.
Yeah, there's always room to put a little more in.
Okay. I'd like to keep my YouTube channel.
Yeah, SteveO just got demonetized. Okay, well, there you go.
Sons of guns. Dang it. But yes, it's Thanksgiving week. I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. On a serious note, we're really thankful for all you guys that come on here and watch the show all the time. Thankful for all the subscribers. Thankful for all of our customers that hit us up throughout the year for orders. So, in all seriousness, a big thank you to all you guys who watch and come join us for these shows. I know they're kind of been infrequent during the year, not the schedule that we wanted, but we really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's super rad. It just, anytime people are in here and they're commenting, like, comments mean that people are actually watching and they're active, and everybody's busy, and everybody spent all day cleaning windows. To spend some time at night to, talk about cleaning windows is pretty amazing. So
yes, awesome. Alrighty. Well, do you have anything else, sir?
Yes. Yes. If you haven't yet gotten your subscription to American Window Cleaner Magazine, please do that. Go to awcmag.com, get your subscription, because it would be absolutely amazing. Get some stickers, read T Squeegee's writings, which are absolutely phenomenal. And go do that. Do me the solid. There you go.
Yes. Alrighty. Well, happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Peace.